We're going to start today's video off with a question. How much do you think this guitar looks like it costs? I'll give you a second to think. €249. Normally I'd convert that to dollars, but it's the same now. I cover a lot of expensive guitars on the channel, so it's a nice change of pace to cover something a lot more budget friendly. Full disclosure, I received this guitar for free to do a review of, but I'm not being compensated in any other way. I can and will be saying whatever I want about this guitar. So let's get into it and see how a budget guitar holds up. Now this guitar comes from an Irish brand called Craftine. They were active around 10 years ago, with the guitars originally being made in the Avalon factory, but they ceased production and things died down from there. But now they're trying to come back, and they're doing so in a way that captured my interest. I'm an electric player at heart. I play electric most of the time, so when I switch over to an acoustic, it can feel uncomfortable and sometimes even painful to switch over. The majority of acoustic guitars have a hard 90-degree edge where the top meets the sides of the body, and this either kills my forearm or I have to angle my arm in an unusual and bit weird way to avoid this happening. But with this guitar, I don't need to, because it's got an arm bevel. It immediately felt comfortable, and that's what initially attracted my interest to this. And while an arm bevel on an acoustic isn't an exclusive feature by any means, it is still rather uncommon. And I've looked around, and this is the cheapest guitar that I can find with this feature. And I don't want to understate this, I really like this feature. Point blank, I can play an acoustic guitar for much longer if it's got a bevel than if it doesn't have one. And anything that makes me play guitar for longer is a win in my book. The guitar doesn't look half bad either. It's a walnut laminated back, top and sides, and I think combined with the bevel, it makes the guitar look a hell of a lot more expensive than it actually is. I mean, even the inside looks like a spacious apartment that I can't afford. The neck seems to be something from the mahogany family, though I don't know the specifics, and the fretboard is a wood that's dyed to look like ebony, though I must say it's very convincingly done. So the guitar looks good, but how does it sound? Well, acoustically, quite pleasing. The guitar does also have a piezo pickup under the bridge and a 4-band EQ for that pickup. And while it's perfectly usable with a bit of reverb, there is one downside to it. It seems that the G string is just a little bit lower output than the rest of the strings on the pickup. It's still being picked up, but it's just not quite there when the rest of the strings are. It can be a little bit annoying, and it is a downside that I found. Now, of course, the guitar will sound more acoustic with a microphone than through the piezo. That's the case with most guitars. The piezo is perfectly workable though. I'm happy enough with it that I'll be using this guitar with just the piezo for a live gig in a couple of weeks. Of course though, if I was recording, my preference would be a mixture of the DI from the piezo and the acoustic mic'd up. Now, as with every guitar, there's going to be negatives, and aside from the lower output G string on the Piezo, there really isn't much to say about this guitar, which is very impressive for the price. If you wanted me to nitpick, I'd say that the frets needed a polish. When I got the guitar, it felt like the strings were fighting against the frets, not flowing over them. But after 10 minutes with some masking tape and steel wool, I had the frets polished and this guitar was playing perfectly. All it took was a polish. Now the guitar plays great and it's really smooth to play. All it took was a little TLC. This guitar surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do. The one thing that dragged it down was the Piezo with the G string. That's it. The rest of the guitar I'm really happy with, and again, love the bevel. And because I'm being so enthusiastic, I do want to reiterate, I'm not being paid to say any of this. I did receive the guitar for free to review, but I could have said anything. If it was bad, I'd tell you. It isn't. I'm very surprised with how good this guitar is for the money that it costs. So yeah, in closing, we look at expensive guitars on this channel all the time, and expensive guitars are nice, but you don't have to spend a huge amount of money to get a perfectly well playing guitar. This is case in point. Thank you for watching, like the video, subscribe and all of that stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.